LZ's going to be in this field.
At AirLife Denver, safety is our highest priority. We are dedicated to the safety of our patients, the ground crew, and our team. Safety isn't dependent just on our procedures. We also rely on your cooperation and commitment to safety as well.
Secura.
Okay, Roger. Coming up.
At AirLife, we utilize Bell 407 helicopters operated by Air Methods with all the latest safety features and technology. They can cruise up to 150 miles an hour and typically respond within a 150-mile radius, and even further for special circumstances. Our helicopters are equipped with satellite tracking, an autopilot, terrain avoidance warning system, traffic collision alert system, and night vision goggles. Weather could be a factor, as the helicopters can only fly in visual flight rules. Whether it's crystal clear outside, or if the weather is bad and you determine you need a helicopter, put the request in with the AirLife Communication Center, and the flight crew will make a decision on whether they can safely take the flight or not. There are 3 types of requests to get a helicopter: immediate go, ground standby, airborne standby. If you think you may need a helicopter and you want to check for availability, you can request a ground standby to alert AirLife that you may need a helicopter. The crew can then get the aircraft ready and be ready to launch at a moment's notice. Another way we can ensure timely air transport is by using our Airborne Standby program. Airborne Standby allows you to launch an aircraft towards your location without obligation. When you establish communications with the pilot, the landing zone officer can give the crew an LZ description, and then the pilot will stand off approximately 1 mile away.
LZ is going to be in this field just to the south of my engine and ambulance. You've got a large...
This reduces any perceived pressure of a helicopter orbiting over your scene. An airborne standby saves valuable time while you evaluate the patient and determine whether our services are needed. In the case where we are stood down, there is no charge to you or the patient. A designated landing zone officer needs to be established. This will ensure that during a helicopter landing, only one person is in contact with the helicopter pilot to minimize confusion and reduce errors. The landing zone should be at least 100 feet by 100 feet, larger if possible, and it should be fairly level. Prior to the arrival of the helicopter, the landing zone officer should walk the LZ to make sure it's free of debris, and in cases where we are landing in tall grass or snow, a more thorough inspection may be required to locate debris. When you first establish communications with the helicopter, the pilot will ask you for an LZ brief. At that point, inform the pilot of any hazards such as power lines, light poles, or anything else that may be a factor. Also give the pilot a general wind direction and approximate wind speed. The LZ officer can give the flight crew patient information if available. If no patient information is available, don't worry about getting it. The landing zone officer's first priority is LZ preparation and clear communication with the pilot.
Okay, Roger, and I see you down there in the field, and that's the field to the north of the engine, right?
That's a firm, I apologize, to the north.
Okay, Roger, thank you.
Once the helicopter is overhead, the pilot will perform at least one 360-degree reconnaissance of the landing zone and inform you of which direction they will be landing.
All around is still clear again. We'll be approaching from the west over the street.
The LZ officer should stand at the front of the landing zone where the nose of the helicopter will land, with the wind at their back and their hands above his or her head. The helicopter will normally land into the wind. After the pilot has identified where you want them to land, you may exit the landing zone. At any point during the landing you notice something that may pose a hazard to the aircraft, you can abort the landing one of two ways. Either on the radio by saying,
Abort, abort, abort.
or by walking into the LZ, waving your arms over your head to signify an aborted landing. Once the pilot receives an abort signal, they will stop the helicopter descent, pull up, and abort the landing. When a landing is aborted, the pilot will contact the LZ officer once the situation is stabilized and the aircraft is at a safe altitude to identify the hazard or come up with a new plan. We are counting on you to be the eyes and ears for us on the ground, and at any point you notice something that seems unusual or may pose a hazard to the aircraft, be sure to let us know. We can't emphasize how important that is to us. A tail rotor guard needs to be in place once the helicopter has landed. The tail rotor guard should be about 40 feet behind and on either side of the aircraft. The tail rotor guard should stay in place and not allow anybody to approach the rear of the aircraft. You may see the pilot get out and verify the security of the tail rotor as well. Once the helicopter has landed, the flight crew will exit the aircraft and establish contact with the LZ officer to receive any special instructions. Do not approach the aircraft unless you are waved in by the crew or the pilot. The landing zone officer should then direct the flight crew to the medical officer in charge and the patient location. Upon arrival to the patient, one crew member will receive report from the ground crew and the other crew member will proceed with a patient assessment. At this point, the flight crew will decide if any immediate procedures are necessary or if the patient is ready for transport. The flight crew will discuss with you the destination hospital. We will transport the patient to any facility that you or the patient wishes, as long as it is appropriate for the patient condition. One crew member will then go to the helicopter to prepare it to receive the patient, and the other crew member will stay with the patient to assist in loading. As you approach the aircraft, always make sure to secure loose items such as hats or blankets, and be sure that nothing is extending over your head, such as IV poles, before you go underneath the rotor disc. The loading process will be directed by the flight crew. It takes a minimum of 4 people to transport the patient to the helicopter, 2 people on each side of the patient. The backboard makes loading easier. Simply align it with the loading platform on the aircraft. After lifting the patient onto the platform, the flight crew will assist you in securing the patient to the litter. When using a pram to bring the patient to the helicopter, one person will be designated to maintain control of the pram during the loading process to prevent it from rolling into the tail rotor. Especially when the aircraft is running, make sure you enter and depart as a group to easily account for all personnel. Our goal is to stay on scene no longer than 10 minutes. Once the patient and the flight crew are prepared to depart, the pilot will take off and verify the destination hospital for the patient. Nighttime operations pose their own unique conditions. All 3 of our crew members will be wearing night vision goggles during any nighttime operations. Please take extra time when walking the LZ.
Just to the south of my engine and ambulance.
It's best to use a landing light kit if one is available. There are 5 lights in the kit, 1 red and 4 amber colored lights. The red light should be placed where you want the nose of the aircraft, and the other 4 lights are used to mark the 4 corners of the LZ, approximately 40 feet apart. LZ kits are provided by AirLife Denver at no cost. Feel free to contact AirLife if one is needed. The LZ officer may consider marking power lines by placing a vehicle underneath them and by shining a light at the power lines to clearly identify them. In the event of an emergency involving the helicopter, do not put yourself in danger. Approach the helicopter with extreme caution and follow your agency's policies and procedures regarding aviation accidents. If the crew requires assistance and you feel it is safe enough to approach the aircraft, the fuel shutoff valve is located by the pilot's right knee. Turn the fuel valve switch off. This will stop the flow of fuel to the engine, reducing the chance of a fire.
Cool. On 3. 1, 2, 3.
AirLife Denver would like to thank you ahead of time for your help and cooperation for making it a safe environment for our patients, our team, and you. If at any time you have questions or feel that you need more training, please don't hesitate to contact AirLife Denver at 303-360-3400. Check out our website at airlifedenver.com and be sure to download our app for all the latest information and resources.